everyone, welcome back. Fantasy Girl back in action, and I had some free time on my hands recently, so I decided to do a fun short video today based on an idea I heard a while back just after 5.3 came out. And this was just something I was thinking about recently, and I'm kind of on the fence about the whole idea, but hey, I thought that it would be a good video. So this is actually an idea about a potential expansion, or maybe like a series of quests where we get to explore the world like how it was before the Sundering. So first things first, before I begin, there are going to be major spoilers, especially from Shadowbringer, so if you haven't played through it yet, especially through 5.3, it may ruin some fun times for you, so watch at your own risk. Alright, so moving on, and I can already hear you all asking, what am I talking about? How can we explore Amarot and the rest of the ancient world when it's pretty much nothing more than crumbling ruins at the bottom of the ocean? Sure, we have like the dream version of Amarot back in the first that MXL came up with, but I mean, the world exactly like how it was leading up to the final days. That was the idea that I heard way back then, and how is that all possible? How would we even do that? Well, here is the idea. So here are the spoiler warnings. But basically, after all the revelations in 5.3, we discover that our character is the reincarnation of the 14th member of the Convocation. Sure, they didn't come out and admit to it. Oh, who am I kidding? They already did. They all but spelled it out for us. So we really don't know too much more about the 14th member, who we were in the ancient past. We don't even know what their real name was. Only that they once held a seat upon the Convocation, and the name that they had at that station was Azem. Again, we don't know for 100% if that was their actual name, or if it's just really the title that they held. I mean, I could see it going either way. And apart from that, we really don't know too much else about this person, only that they were known as the Wanderer, the Traveler, or even the Shepherd of the Stars. For this particular seat on the Convocation, their duty was to travel the world and gain an intimate knowledge of the entire land. So they traveled not only across from Amarot, but they traveled all across the continents, and most likely like the entire world during the ancient times. They solved all sorts of problems, they've helped countless people, they made friends with so many interesting characters, and with their help that they made along the way, they were able to basically solve countless problems, and I think that that might have actually caused a lot of, I would say, disapproval from the Convocation. I could kind of see the whole thing like maybe Azem was a little bit unpredictable, a little unorthodox, they kind of did things their own way, and the Convocation was just kind of annoyed that they were like that they were so different, that they didn't bother following protocol and like even just letting them know what was going on, and they just kind of did whatever that they wanted, helped however that they could, and the Convocation was just kind of left behind while everything was already getting done, like especially after this little incident that involved a volcano and like saving these grapes and everything. That was a great story, by the way. That was Tales from the Shadows, so that was a really fun story to read. And just from that story alone, it sounded like Azem was a real character. Like, you could just tell that they didn't give a damn what anyone said about them. They did what they felt was right and screw everything else, even if they were excommunicated like several times already, and if they weren't so popular with so many people, I suspect that they probably would have been kicked off the Convocation more than once. But apart from those little bits of tidbits, we really don't know where they were or what they were doing up till the final days. Only that they ended up leaving the Convocation shortly before Zodiark's summoning. And contrary to popular belief, it turns out that they may not have been so keen on the idea of summoning another primal, in this case Hydaelyn, to counteract with Zodiark. So they were definitely not on Zodiark's side, but apparently they weren't on Hydaelyn's side either. So what were they up to during that time? That is just something that has been bugging me because we still don't know too much more about Azem and their whole role in all of this. Because I do not think that they're the type of people who would just sit back and let the world pretty much self-destruct. I think that they played a really important role in possibly the summoning. Like, it is possible Azem may have changed their mind and just decided to go with the lesser of two evils and just said, okay, I will throw my weight behind Hydaelyn just this once because there's really no other option. Zodiark is just too powerful, too dangerous. I mean, that may explain why Hydaelyn apparently chose the Warrior of Light, like the modern day Warrior of Light, to be her champion. But I don't know, I feel like we're missing like a really important piece of the puzzle, and that puzzle piece is Azem. We really need to know more about Azem's story. All that we know for sure about what happened to Azem was that they were sundered along with the rest of the world during the final battle with the two gods, and eventually they were reborn as the current character, the current hero. One other thing that we do know for sure, though, is that they seem to have been very close with Emixelk or Hades, and he ended up creating a memory crystal for them. Now, these crystals were used to help the three unsundered Ascians awaken the other reincarnations of the other Convocation members. But because of the fact that Azem left the Convocation before Zodiark was summoned, they didn't bother making one for them. They saw that as a huge betrayal. Hades, however, who still apparently really cared about Azem, like really could not just forget about his friend like that. I mean, he called them themselves his dearest friend. He went behind their backs and had one secretly made. Afterwards, he seemed to have had things set up so that not only were we able to get our hands on all the other memory crystals, but Azem's crystal as well. And we were already able to use that crystal once before in the fight with Elidibus, where Hades did appear before us and lent us a helping hand. And after Elidibus died, it seems that the crystals either were destroyed or disappeared with him. It's hard to say for sure, but it does look like all the other crystals are gone. So that stands to reason that we don't need to worry about any more Ascians coming back, at least once we get rid of the current ones that we still have. So where does this leave us with Azem's crystal? Well, it shows that we still have it, and after all the trouble of getting it, I don't think that the writers are going to let it go that easily. Now, whether or not the memories are like a pensieve where Emixelk created it with his own memories of Azem, or if they actually contain Azem's memories, that I don't know. But I do think that we have the basics for a possible idea for a new expansion. One where we're able to revisit Amarot in a kind of, I don't know, dreamscape maybe? I mean, not like time travel. No, definitely not time travel. Time travel is always a very tricky thing to kind of put into a story because there's just so many ways that can go wrong. I mean, the cursed child, for one thing. If that's not a good enough reason, I don't know what is. But I'm thinking more along the lines of like Assassin's Creed, where we go right into the memories and they relive everything from Azem's point of view. Or maybe some kind of realistic dream where we get to travel to the memories that are inside the crystal. Now, why would we want to do this? Well, there's actually several reasons that came to mind just as I was playing around with this idea. First of all, there is the matter that we still have some questions about the past that we don't have the answers to yet. We could use the memory crystal to perhaps maybe learn more about the final days, what became of Azem, but I doubt that Azem wasn't doing anything during all of this. Not only that, but can you imagine us being able to team up with Hades and Hedonthilus during all this time? I think I said his name right. I kind of just want to see the three of them interacting with each other. I think that would be adorable. And there's also the fact that we were once known as the Wanderer, or the Traveler after all, so maybe we can explore more of this ancient world, and not just like Amarot, but all the other cities that may have been there. I mean, I get it's going to be a big job being able to explore a whole world when we haven't even explored our own yet, but I can picture us going through different adventures, doing side quests, even fate fights, and just thinking about all of it, that sounds like a really fun thing to learn about. All the while we get to learn more about the other members of the Convocation, we get to see them as more as like co-workers or even friends, not just the enemies that we have been dealing with, and maybe we could see like what they were before, like who they were before, because I mean, for example, we found out like when we were running through like the recreated version of Amarot, we find out that La Habrea was like once like the leader of healing or something like in the city. That's really interesting. I would love to know more about that. And then there's this whole idea with Fandaniel, and who is just completely crazy and warped, and like, I doubt he was always like that. I wonder what made him like that. This could be a really good chance of being able to learn more about all the other Asians and just their points of view. And I would just love to see more of what happened during that time. I mean, I myself would love to just imagine fighting what this Ifrita is, like from that Grape story. I would love to see that fight, as well as learn more of this ancient world. And if it's a dreamscape, we can wake up at any point from it whenever we want. And like I said, this is supposed to be like a dream or just us walking through memories. We're not being able to go to the past. We're not going to be able to make any changes to what happened. We're just going to be reliving it, learning from it. Not trying to change anything that happened, but basically learn about what happened and just kind of put that into the story now. Just basically learning from their mistakes, like the mistakes of the ancients, and use that to prevent another tragedy happening all over again. If we do end up going like through this dreamscape or something, or just walking through memories, the whole point would be for us to seek information regarding what caused the final days. 6.0 is supposed to be Square Enix wrapping up the whole story with Zodiac and Heidelin and everything else that's going on, and this seems like a really good way to be able to tie in everything all at once. Because we go to the past, we find out more about the final days, what caused them, and maybe like the secret to defeating not only Zodiac but Heidelin altogether. Because we still don't know what it was that caused the final days, only that it was a great horrific sound that came from inside the planet. That's it. We don't know if it was man-made, if it came from outer space, if it just appeared there like from another dimension or like another planet like Omega. That's impossible to say right now. But perhaps learning this knowledge or just some kind of information that can help us prevent Fandaniel from re-triggering it might be the key to saving everyone. Especially since Zeno seems to dream of the final days. I mean, Fandaniel himself speculates to himself that, is it possible Emexelk found a way? A way to what? I mean, a way to access your ancient memories? Like through dreams or something? Because, I mean, it looks like whoever Xenos may have been in the ancient past, he was definitely an Amarot. That's at least the impression that I'm getting. So it could be that while he's dreaming of the final days, like his ancient memories are starting to awaken. And maybe Emexelk found a way to kind of do that through dreams. So the ability to do so and maybe access Azem's memories may actually be much more possible than we think. I think that Azem's memories are going to be playing a major role in this. I'm sure of it, since they were there, they saw everything, they were alive during all of that. And they may have been the key that we need to defeat whatever this big sound is, because whatever the sound is, it sounds like it's coming back. Being able to see Azem's life without messing up anything that really happened in the past, it could be us going through our own ancient memories. And we get to explore Azem's past in that world and the role that they had in, I'm betting, saving the world. I think that whatever they did, they must have somehow been able to at least slow down like the sound's progression in destroying the planet, maybe given the convocation time to summon Zodiac and or something along those lines. There's just like gaps like in between this timeline that I'm not really sure I know how to put the pieces to. So they're all tied together, we just don't know what it is, and it just seems like Azem is the thing that's supposed to be tying them all together. Even if it's not a whole expansion, which I really don't think that it would be, but I think maybe more along the lines of a Chronicles of a New Era storyline, but maybe also along the lines of like pieces of the main scenario. Like in 6.0, if we do end up going to Ishabard or maybe Charlian, like maybe we could have periodically throughout the whole storyline, we would be seeing glimpses of the ancient past and our kind of role in it, and then we can tell the others what we saw, and we would start putting the pieces together from that. Granted, I know that the odds of that actually happening in the story are slim, but also I feel like the basis for that happening have already been set up. And unless, short of Heidelin speaking to us after being silent for so long, how else are we going to get any real answers? Because the only people who actually remember anything are Heidelin, Zodiac, and the Asians, or any unsundered Asian. And the 3 unsundered Asians are gone. Zodiac's sealed away inside the moon, so I don't think we'll be hearing from him anytime soon. Fandaniel might be able to offer some information, but he himself has said that he only has heard about it. He doesn't remember it exactly what happened in the ancient past himself. He just has a very basic idea of what was going on, so I'm not entirely sure just how reliable or truthful he would be with that. I mean, unless he knows that information would just seriously troll us, I don't think he's going to give it up because he's just having way too much fun here. So I think really the only other person who would be able to tell us what was going on would be either Hydaelyn or Vana. And I think that Vana and Hydaelyn are pretty much the same person at this point. We still don't know what happened with Vana. Like if they somehow separated from Hydaelyn themselves or something, I don't know. But this could be our only way of really getting those answers. Maybe it could be something like in Final Fantasy VIII, where we got flashes of the past periodically throughout the story, and maybe our memory crystal is the key to that. Like that combined with the echo will show us more and more memories, and we start understanding more of what was going on. I mean, it can happen. And then there's that whole interaction with Cid and Boja, where we walked around in Cid's memories. Maybe we could have something like that. And with Makoto playing a bigger role in the Southern Front, I can totally see her slowly being integrated more and more into the main scenario, and maybe even become a scion later on. And we can maybe use her abilities and then a combination of the memory world, or maybe bring Feyre Ol from the first as also a way to stay connected with the first and traveling with a mixture of memories and the dreams of pixies. And through the pixies, we know it's possible to be able to travel through dreams. So maybe like a combination of like a dream world and like a memory world just sort of mixed together. It's certainly possible, like I said. And maybe instead of teleporting, we'll have to go through some kind of special door or use a special object to get in first. Kind of like how we have like the dream world in Ilmeg, or we have the special device that we first used to travel to the source later on. Like, I mean, I really don't know for sure. This was just an idea that happened inside my head, and I was maybe thinking about it too much. But again, I love the idea of being able to look through like the ancient past and see just what it was like. Again, it's not like we're time traveling. It's not like we're going into the past and changing anything. All we're doing is recalling the memories that we may have forgotten. Especially since it does seem like Azem was investigating whatever the sound could be. They would be the best person to ask about what is going on. Though I know that some people may not be particularly happy with this thought, because I know some people would rather be doing things like making changes to the world and than just remembering something of one of our previous lives. I mean, it does sound like the dev team has a specific plan or an idea to what happened with the Sundering and all the events that led up to it, and maybe what Azem's role was specifically for that, but I can't help but want to learn more about Azem and this ancient world, or at least get a better idea of the events that led up to the final days. I do know that a theme of Shadowbringers was that we have a choice. We can either learn to live in the past or move on and find a new future, both of which can be extremely dangerous if you're not careful. Such as how we have Emixelk, who was a living example of the former, and Grahatia of the latter. But we also have to remember that we need to learn about the past if we want to fully understand our future, where we're going. Because those who don't learn from history will be doomed to repeat it. That has been something that has been happening for a very long time, because when people refuse to learn, they just keep making the same mistakes over and over. So I do think that before this whole story is over, especially with Hydaelyn and Zodiac, we need to learn more about the past. We need to be able to understand exactly what's going on and use what we learned from that to prevent further tragedy. And I mean, like I said, I personally don't think that they would be able to make a full expansion about that. I mean, I would love that idea. I would love being able to explore the ancient past. At most, I think that they would be using that as like a Chronicles of a New Era, or just like very specific like side quests as part of the main story. That I can see happening as well. But come on, I can't be the only one here who is just dying to learn more about everything that happened in the final days and just what exactly this world was like before all that. Anyway, everyone, that's just a random idea that I had been playing around with for a while. What did you all think? Do you like that idea? Do you think that maybe someday we should have like an expansion like that? Like, even if it's not an expansion, do you think that we should be able to explore memories, like our own memories, or I guess Azem's memories, and then just see what we learned from all that? Now that I'm pretty much caught up with almost everything in the story like going on in Final Fantasy XIV right now, and I'm just kind of just catching up on the firmament and like the final phase of building everything there, I feel like I want to put out a few more maybe lore videos and just like discussion or predictions or just random ideas, I guess, for this game. So if you have a specific idea in mind or like a certain question that you would like me to explore on, or maybe some kind of lore that you are interested and want to know more about, just drop a review down below and please click that like button if you like this. So until next time, everyone, take care, have an amazing rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you all again. Bye!
This I hope, I believe, here at memory's end.